Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pods. I am Leonardo.
Whoa! Good morning, students. And I'm Elizabeth.
Today, we are diving into something a little different, like really different.
Different good or different,
Oh, definitely different good. Today, we are exploring an essential topic for anyone looking to excel in English.
And based on your notes, this deep dive is going to help you figure out how to seriously maximize what tech can do for you in every single part of your life.
It really is about that potential, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not just about having the latest gadget. It's about, how can technology help you to reach your full potential?
I like that. Reach your full potential.
Yeah, and that's what this piece, How to Use Technology Beneficially, is all about.
Awesome. Love it. So it sounds like it's not just about using tech, it's about using it with a strategy almost.
Yeah.
Not just kind of getting lost in it.
Yeah, you said it, not just getting lost in the endless scroll. It's really about thinking about it intentionally and strategically. The piece we're looking at talks about 3 big areas where we can leverage technology. One is education, productivity,
Okay.
and one is entertainment.
Interesting. Okay.
And what I found interesting is it sort of encourages us to think about our goals even within those 3 things.
Oh, I see. Okay. So let's start with education. I mean, tech can be a pretty phenomenal learning tool.
Oh, yeah, you really can. The source mentions some of the familiar platforms like Khan Academy,
Sure.
Coursera, Udemy. These all offer a massive range of courses that you can take. But what I found interesting is it talked about active learning, not just passively watching videos.
Right. So it's not about just replacing textbooks with online courses.
No. Think interactive simulations. Think virtual labs.
Oh, wow.
Think engaging with online communities and forums.
I like that.
So really using those tools to apply what you're learning and to make it really stick.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about those language apps.
Right.
They use gamification to help you remember vocabulary.
Exactly. It's like it can make learning fun
Yeah.
and engaging, which is so crucial for people to stay motivated.
Yeah.
And for someone who's really looking to constantly learn and grow, that's a huge advantage.
That's a really great point. I love that. So let's move on to productivity. I feel like we all know that tech can be a double-edged sword when it comes to productivity. It can help us get organized, but it can also be super overwhelming and distracting.
Absolutely. The source that we're looking at, it really highlights the importance of being selective about the tools that we use
Okay.
and focusing on the ones that really work for us, that align with our specific needs and our workflow.
So instead of just downloading every single productivity app that's out there, we need to be more strategic.
Exactly. Be really picky. For example, if you struggle with time management, it suggests exploring techniques like time blocking,
Okay.
using a digital calendar.
I love time blocking.
It's great.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
It's really about taking control of your schedule rather than letting your schedule control you.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much more you can accomplish when you actually dedicate blocks of time to doing certain things.
Right. And then it talks about the power of automation. Have you ever thought about using tools like IFTTT or Zapier
Yeah.
to automate those repetitive tasks?
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, you can have your email attachments automatically saved to a cloud storage. You can automatically schedule those social media posts.
That's a really good point. I think that is a really big time saver.
Right.
Automation is key. It's like having a personal assistant working for you all the time.
It is, behind the scenes. And then speaking of working together, it talks about, choosing the right collaboration tools as well.
Oh, sure.
So for someone who's really big on communication, efficient teamwork, using platforms like Slack, Asana, can help streamline projects and keep everyone on the same page.
For sure. Those are lifesavers, especially when you're working remotely.
Yeah.
It's like using tech to bridge the distance, right?
Right.
Stay connected. So we've talked about education, productivity, but I think there's a whole other element to technology that is sometimes forgotten, and that's its role in how we build and maintain relationships.
Yeah, that's a really crucial aspect. A lot of times people don't think about that. The source mentions some of the things we hear all the time, like LinkedIn for professional networking, Facebook, Instagram for staying in touch with friends and family. But what stood out to me was the focus on intentionality.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's not just about passively scrolling through social media.
Right. It's about being mindful of how we use it and making sure that it's actually helping us build meaningful connections rather than just taking up our time.
You got it. Think about engaging in thoughtful conversations, supporting your friends' creative endeavors, using social media to learn about different perspectives and cultures.
I like that. Using it as a tool to learn.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's easy to get caught up, comparing ourselves to others online or just mindlessly scrolling.
Totally.
But when we use social media with intention, it can be a really powerful tool for connection and community building.
Right. I like that. And you know what? There's also another side to technology that I think a lot of people don't always consider, and that is its ability to really impact our health and well-being.
You're right. We often forget about that.
Yeah.
While a lot of people associate technology with, being on our screens all the time, the source highlights how it can be a really powerful ally for both physical and mental wellness.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I actually just started using a fitness tracker to help me track my sleep and my activity levels.
That's great.
Which has been surprisingly motivating.
That's a great example of how tech can provide us with those insights, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
Into our health habits. But it goes beyond fitness trackers.
Okay.
It talks about the world of mindfulness apps.
Oh, wow.
Online therapy platforms.
Wow.
Digital communities that can offer support and connection.
So using tech to really manage stress and improve our mental health.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. I hadn't really thought about that so much.
The key is finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Right. For some, it might be a guided meditation app. For others, it might be connecting with an online support group.
I see.
But it's really about breaking down those barriers.
Yeah.
And empowering people to take control of their well-being. But we can't just talk about all the great things technology can do, right?
Of course not.
You got to talk about some of the downsides as well.
Yeah, the potential for distraction.
Right.
Information overload.
Yeah.
Even like addiction.
It's interesting because the source we're looking at, it talks about this concept of digital well-being.
Okay.
Which is super important, right?
Yeah.
And it talks about it in terms of, our attention is a limited resource.
Oh, I like that. Okay, great.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it says that just like you wouldn't spend all your money on impulse purchases.
Sure.
You shouldn't squander all your attention on endless notifications and distractions.
So how do we protect that attention?
That's the big question. And it suggests a couple things.
Okay. One is being really intentional about when and how we engage with technology.
Okay.
So, for example, setting specific times to check your email.
Yeah.
Setting specific times to check social media instead of constantly reacting to the notifications.
I've actually heard people call those like tech breaks almost, like you schedule a coffee break, you schedule a meeting.
That's a great strategy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The source also talks about using technology to actually help us stay focused.
Interesting. Okay.
So there are some apps out there that will block distracting websites.
Oh, wow.
Or they'll limit our time on certain apps.
I've actually started using one of those. It's called Forest.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah. It's really great. It's almost like having a virtual accountability partner helping you to stay on task. So, okay, so we're being more intentional. We're limiting our distractions.
Right.
But what about the whole world of social media? Because I feel like that's where things can get really tricky, right? It's so easy to fall into the trap of like comparing yourself to other people, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you have to present this perfect image online.
You said it. You totally said it. And that's why the source emphasizes mindful social media use.
Okay.
Remembering that what we see online often is like a curated version of reality.
Right. Of course.
It's not the whole picture.
Yeah.
So it suggests being really picky about who we follow and what content we engage with.
It's like creating almost a digital diet.
I love that. Yeah.
Making sure we're taking in stuff that's healthy and nourishing. Yeah. Not just like junk food for the mind.
That's a great analogy. And, speaking of protecting ourselves, another thing the source touches on is this idea of online security.
Okay. Yeah, that can feel kind of overwhelming, right?
It can.
Especially with all the stuff you hear in the news about, scams and data breaches. It can make you feel very vulnerable online.
You're right, and that's why it's so important to be proactive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The source covers some of the things we've heard before, like creating strong passwords, enabling two-factor authentication, being careful about the links we click on, and the things that we download. But it really emphasizes staying informed about those latest scams and threats because they're always changing.
Right. So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing?
Absolutely not. It's an ongoing process of staying vigilant and adapting.
Oh, I see.
You can almost think about it like, keeping your software updated on your computer.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
It's all part of maintaining your digital security.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of like the sort of the dangers of technology. Let's switch gears and talk about something a little bit more fun.
Let's do it.
Something that I think is really exciting. And that's the power of technology to unleash creativity.
Oh, yeah. I love that part of tech. It's amazing because it's really democratized creative expression.
Totally.
The source mentions tools like Canva, Adobe Creative Suite. These give anyone the ability to design stunning graphics.
Oh, that's cool.
Logos, marketing materials, you name it.
That is cool. And then for people who are like into music, there's software like GarageBand, FL Studio. It's like you can turn your computer into a recording studio.
I know, it's incredible, right?
It's so cool.
And the accessibility of these tools has just skyrocketed.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have all that fancy equipment anymore.
No.
And those expensive studios.
And then you've got platforms like YouTube, Behance, Instagram.
Oh, of course.
Where you can share your creations with the world.
Yeah.
And connect with other creative people.
It's amazing. Like, you don't need to have like a big gallery showing.
Right.
You can just share it all online.
Exactly. And that leads to just such a diversity of voices and perspectives.
Yeah, it's really
It's inspiring to see how people are using tech to express themselves and share their talents with everyone.
Absolutely. All right. So, we've talked about how we can use tech to, learn things, to be more productive, to build relationships, to, get healthier, to express our creativity. But, this source also talks about something really interesting, and that is this concept of tech for good.
Yes, it's not just about personal gain or entertainment. Right. It can be a powerful tool for social change and community building.
I love that.
Right. So the source gives examples like crowdfunding platforms.
Oh, yeah, like GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, exactly.
Where you can raise money to help people who need it.
Exactly. To support causes that are important to you. And then there's online volunteering.
Interesting.
You heard that about that?
I haven't really.
Yeah. You can use your tech skills to help organizations.
Oh, cool.
With maybe web design or social media or data analysis.
I like that a lot.
Right. You can make a difference from anywhere in the world.
That's amazing.
And then, of course, social media. It can be used to raise awareness about all sorts of important issues.
Of course.
And to mobilize support.
Yeah, I think we forget about that sometimes because we're so quick to criticize social media.
Right.
But there's a lot of good that comes out of it, too.
Absolutely. Think about like those online campaigns that have brought attention to different social injustices, to environmental concerns.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Technology gives individuals a voice. And the ability to connect with other people.
Totally.
To create real change.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. It all comes down to how we use it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where this idea of digital literacy comes in.
Okay, so we've heard that term a few times now.
Right.
What exactly does digital literacy mean?
Digital literacy is the ability to kind of navigate this digital world effectively and responsibly.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just knowing how to use a computer or a smartphone.
Right.
It's about understanding how technology works, how to evaluate the information that you find online, and how to protect yourself from all those risks out there.
So it's about being like a savvy digital citizen?
You got it.
Okay.
A savvy and informed digital citizen. And this source emphasizes that digital literacy is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's always changing.
Right, because technology is always changing.
Right, exactly. So we need to keep learning and adapting.
I see.
And it even suggests, think about learning some basic coding or digital marketing skills.
Oh, wow, okay.
These are becoming so valuable in today's world.
So it's not about just being a consumer of technology.
Wow.
It's about being a creator and a problem solver.
Exactly. Digital literacy empowers us to shape technology to meet our needs.
Wow.
To make it work for us. And to contribute to a more equitable and innovative future.
It's pretty amazing how much we've actually managed to cover in this deep dive.
Yeah, I really have.
From maximizing our productivity to being creative, connecting with others, using tech for good.
Right. It's really incredible how much technology touches our lives.
It really is.
In so many different ways.
It really is.
It's also inspiring to see how much potential there is for tech to shape things in a positive way.
For sure. For sure.
I think it's important to remember, though, that technology itself is neutral.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's kind of like a hammer.
Okay.
You can use a hammer to build a house.
Sure.
You can use a hammer to break things.
Right.
Technology is just a tool.
Okay.
It's really up to us how we use it.
So how do we
wield that hammer, so to speak?
Yeah, and I think that's what this source really emphasizes.
Yeah.
Is taking ownership of our digital lives and making sure that we're using tech in a way that aligns with our values.
Absolutely. And being really conscious of the choices that we make.
Right.
From the apps that we download to the content that we consume to how we interact with other people online.
Yeah. And it can feel like we don't have much control sometimes.
I know.
Especially with how much is driven by algorithms and AI.
It can feel like you're just along for the ride.
It totally can.
But we have agency.
Yeah, for sure we do.
More than we think.
Yeah. So it's not about rejecting technology or, becoming a Luddite or whatever.
No.
It's about finding that balance.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where tech actually enhances our lives without kind of taking over.
Right. It's about being intentional. It's about using it to help us achieve our goals and live by our values, not distract us from them.
Yeah. And, so much of what we've talked about today really comes back to that idea of intentionality.
Right.
Being mindful about how and why we use it.
Yeah.
And remembering that technology is always changing, too.
Of course it never stops changing.
What works for us today might not work for us tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
So we need to be adaptable and open to trying new things.
And constantly learning.
Absolutely. It's a lifelong process.
It is.
And, I think that's one of the most exciting parts of technology.
There's always something new to explore, to learn.
It's true.
To create.
Totally. And, we started this whole deep dive talking about the importance of goals.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap things up here, what are some of your personal goals when it comes to using tech in a way that benefits your life?
Well, one of my goals is to just keep exploring new ways to use technology for creative expression.
Oh, I love that.
Whether it's experimenting with new music software, learning new design techniques, or even just using my phone to take pictures, to capture beautiful things.
It's about keeping that sense of curiosity alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, another goal is to be more intentional about using technology to connect with people in meaningful ways.
Yeah.
Putting my phone down more often.
Right.
Being more present with the people that I'm with.
I like that.
Using social media to actually build community and support causes that I care about.
Those are great goals.
Yeah, it's about remembering those real-world connections.
It's so easy to forget about that when we're so plugged in all the time.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah. And then finally, I'm committed to using my tech skills to make a positive impact on the world, even if it's in small ways.
Yeah.
Whether it's donating to a crowdfunding campaign, volunteering my time to help a nonprofit with their website, or just using social media to amplify voices that aren't being heard.
Those are really inspiring goals.
Thanks.
And I think it's a really good reminder that we all have the power to use tech to make a difference.
We do.
Even in small ways.
Even in small ways.
That's so important to remember.
It all starts with being mindful about our choices. And remembering that even our small actions can create a ripple effect.
This has been such a great conversation.
Yeah, it has.
And I've learned a lot from you today.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Of course.
And for really getting us to think about our relationship with technology.
Yeah, I hope this conversation has encouraged you to think about how tech can help you live a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Totally. So before we go,
yeah,
we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
What is one small change that you're inspired to make in your own tech habits after listening to this?
Maybe it's, setting aside some time to focus on your work. Maybe it's checking out a new learning platform. Or maybe it's just being more aware of your screen time.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, take that first step.
Yeah. And remember, technology should empower you.
Absolutely.
Not the other way around.
It should work for you.
So keep exploring.
Keep learning.
And keep using tech to do amazing things.
Yes. Make it your superpower.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.